Sanjib Nandi. Thank you very much for coming on. If you'd just like to give us a brief introduction really about your background, just before we get started.
My name is Sanjib Nandi. I was born and brought up in India. I finished my pharmacy schooling in India. And after finishing my pharmacy schooling, I was looking for a better opportunity. And at that time, I got the opportunity to go to United Kingdom, which is London. So I moved to London in 2002, and I lived and worked there for 5 years. And in 2008, I moved to United States, and I have been living here for the past 14 years, and I've been working as a pharmacist.
With regards to like moving countries, so India to the UK to the United States, how's that impacted your life and your own culture and the way you sort of live?
So it has given me a broader perspective of life, because as I have lived in India, I know the culture in India, I know the work environment in India. Then I moved to London, I worked there for 5 years, and definitely it was different from, what I have worked in India. And it gives you a broader perspective of, how a human being works, what are their values, because, my inclination is to learn, why somebody behaves the way they behaves. And, once you move to a different country, you work with them and, you adjust your nature and your culture to adjust in their culture. And you learn a lot of things because you have to adapt fast.
Yeah.
And, working there, it gives you a broader perspective because, you don't know so many things in life. When you go to a new place, you experience, new things. When you are experiencing a new thing, your mind as well as your experiences, develop. And, that is what, build the confidence in a human being, because, as you mentioned that, confidence is the thing which is lacking in the younger generation. But, when you are traveling, when you are going to different places, when you are meeting new people and you are learning from their experiences and you are, mixing your experiences and seeing, what is best. So, that is the reason, which I definitely emphasize everyone to travel, to go to a new place and work, or or a new country, because that will expose them more, and their perspective of life will change.
So with regards to confidence, particularly for young people, do you think anything's changed, and why do you think it's changed?
I will not say something has changed. Confidence has been a main factor for a long time. Like, what is confidence? Confidence is your inner world, what I perceive about myself. And if I think, negatively, or if I don't, think positively, like, personality wise, my habits, then I will act and behave in the same way. No. Just assume that, my confidence in a particular subject is low, like, oh, I don't, just like, for example, like, I don't perceive myself as handsome or good looking, I will behave and act in the same way. Because what you think from inside is definitely going to project outside. And you can take a skill as well, like, you study law. So you have expertise about law. And if you, dive deep and you study hard, you will have confidence in that domain. Because you have knowledge, more about it, and you can speak with the other people with confidence. So again, to develop confidence, it needs time, it needs patience, it needs expertise to develop that self-confidence. It does not come in a day or two.
So what do you think, Sanjib? I know you mentioned about experience really helping with confidence. What do you think about people that try and fake it till they make it, so to say? People that try and project the image that they're not actually experiencing on the inside?
Yeah, it's definitely a very good question, like fake it till you make it. I sometimes use it because when you are trying to do something, definitely from inside that you are not good at. But rather than not trying it, you have to, start at some point.
Yeah, so it's worth giving it a go.
Yeah, so that's the reason you have to a little bit fake it until you reach to that level, because you cannot be expert in all the field. Like if I'm trying to do 10 different things, I cannot be expert in 10 different things. I can be expert in 1 or 2 things. But, you know, my intention is to do, you know, other things at the same time. Like, you know, I was never a speaker. I was never a writer. I was never an entrepreneur. I was never a YouTuber. But if I think that, oh, you know, this is not my domain, I don't want to try those things, then, you know, it will never be a possibility. You have to, you know, dive deep in spite of not knowing all the answers. In spite of, you know, of faking it a little bit, you have to, you know, still do it, you know, in spite of that fear. Yeah. And, you know, fear is the main thing which is stopping us from doing new things, because we think, oh, you know, what my friend will think about it because I'm not good at it. My friend might, you know, perceive me in a different way, or my family will judge me because I'm not good at it. That breaks down the confidence. But, you know, you have to still do it in spite of, you know, fear, in spite of, you know, having a low confidence, and, you know, eventually you will, you know, definitely become better.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it takes 30 days. It only takes 30 days to make something a habit, right?
Means I will a little bit disagree with you that, you know, it takes more than 30 days, because, you know, I have studied about, you know, myself, and, you know, I have worked extensively. What I have figured out, it takes 60 to 90 days to make a habit. You know, like, you know, the previous notion is it takes 21 days to make a habit, but it takes longer than, you know, 21 days. You know, what I have calculated is it's between 30 to 60 days to make a habit.
Yeah. And with regards to sort of what you were saying earlier about confidence, I really liked what you were saying, because as well, sometimes when you actually fake it until you make it, you know, and throw yourself in a situation where you're learning, suddenly you turn around without even realizing it. And after you've been doing it for a year or 2, you actually do become skilled. And you think you're still faking it, but you no longer actually are. You actually know what you're doing. So yeah, it's one of those things. With regards, you mentioned you've got a son. When we have people on the podcast who are parents, it's always really interesting to see what they think about the world we currently live in, particularly with regards to, you know, for males especially, it's a harder world to navigate. And also, what are you doing to sort of instill some confidence in your son as a father?
Again, you know, this is a very tricky question, because, you know, how do you install, you know, confidence in a kid? Like, you know, what I do, you know, I'm just giving you my personal experiences. You know, I let him do, you know, what he wants it to do, rather than, you know, projecting what I want him to do it. Because, you know, you have to let that kid grow by himself. You know, he has to explore different things, and he has to know that, okay, you know, what makes him comfortable. Because, you know, what happens is, you know, we, you know, implant too many, you know, negative thoughts in our kid. You know, that is, again, my belief that, you know, when a child is born, he has only 2 kinds of fears: loud noises and falling. That is the only 2 fears he has. But by the time of 7 or 8, you know, the parents, teachers, uncles and aunts, we implant those kind of fear. Don't do this, don't speak with strangers. If you do this, you know, you will fail. So what happens by the time they become 7 or 8 or 10, these negative feelings of fear is installed in a kid. And by the age they, you know, reach 14 or 15, what happens, you know, because of the biological changes, because, you know, a male is releasing, you know, more testosterone at that age, you know, puberty, and, you know, female, you know, more estrogen. So, you know, those biological changes are natural, which happens with everyone. And what happens at that time, you know, when those biological changes are happening, you know, men definitely have the edge to become more aggressive and angry. You know, by the time they reach 16 to 20, they have more anger. They are not, you know, not have that much patience. And female, you know, are more, you know, prone to anxiety and depression.
It's interesting that you said about a difference. Sorry, just wanted to jump in there. It's interesting you said about a difference. Would you say that men, especially younger men, tend to be more confident than younger women? What are your thoughts
No,
on
I
that?
don't.
No?
Maybe there is a slightly edge to the
Okay.
men, but there is not a major difference. You can say that men has more confidence than women, but there is definitely a slight edge. You can give it to men because because of the anger and aggression. They build a little bit of more confidence rather than women who have a little bit more prone to anxiety and depression. Because
I think
if you are
well, it's as well because there's this study that shows, I can't remember the exact percentages, but men only need to be 40% sure before they do something. Women have to be 90% sure before they do something. And that's a sliding scale, right? It's a generalization. But it means men take risks quicker. So I think that's why it translates into a bit more confidence, because the more risks you're taking, the more uncomfortable situations you're getting into, the more confidence you're building.
Definitely, as you say that, the person who is taking more chances, and if he's able to get a little bit of success, it will build his confidence, because, that's how you build confidence. You have to take your chances, you dive deep into it. And when you see initial success that, okay, I can do this much, maybe, I should try a little bit more. Then that the next few months or next few days, you will try a little bit more and you will learn a little bit more. And, in a span of 1 year, as you say, that, you have learned so much that you don't have to fake it. That is the way to build the confidence. You cannot build the confidence in a day or two. You have to, take something which interests you. What happens when we are young? We start comparing with somebody else. Oh, he's doing this. I should also do this. Rather than comparing, yourself with somebody else, do what you like and, build that confidence slowly.
Yeah. So talking about doing new things, I completely agree with, over time building the confidence, but talking about new things, I know you've written, is it one book or you've written a few?
I have written one book.
What made you do that, or how do you sort of get the confidence and motivation to do that? I'm quite interested.
So, it was never in the agenda to write a book. Like, as I say, we do things and we don't plan it. Some of the things, you just dive in, you learn some of the things, and there comes a point, there comes an opportunity, when you are doing multiple things that, there is a door opening which says, okay, there is a point you should write a book. And, I have an interesting story to share about it. Like in 2016, 2013 to 2016, I was struggling in my life. I was depressed. My life was going downhill. And I know at one point in 2016, I decided, okay, if I don't do anything about my life, it is going to, go downhill. And, it is going to, give a bad impact on my son, because, I wanted to be a role model to my son. That is my intention. And, I wanted to live to that expectation. So, once you are in the bottom, like, the lowest point in your life, and, I was there. So you have to think about, okay, how can I come out of this negativity? What can I do to make my life, happy? Because, a human being is looking for three things and only three things. He wanted to be happy, he wanted to be healthy, and he wanted to be successful. I was, successful. I was making a lot of money, but I was not happy. So in 2017, I decided I wanted to change my life. So I slowly, start working on myself. I started doing meditation, then I started, slowly walking, go for long walks. And, after a few months, my body told me that, it is time for you to jog. So I started jogging, and which led to, ran my first marathon and a half marathon. Oh, yes. So, that gave me the confidence again, which I lost it, when I was going downhill. Because, people have to face, difficult situation in their life. And it happens with everyone. Like, my misconception before was, why this is happening to me. And, most of the people think that way. If we face a difficult situation, We definitely think, okay, why this is happening to me, what I have done wrong, why God is not helping me. So rather than going in that path, I started working and improving myself. So once I have improved myself, I thought, okay, this has helped me a lot. There are so many people struggling in life. Why don't I write a book? So once you are doing many things in your life, there will be doors opening for you which you never know existed. Because we all have potential, or we all have possibilities. But when you start working on that, your possibility or your potential, opens up. And then, you take a new path and you dive deep into it and you start, okay, I will write a book. And again, it's a process of writing that book. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of effort. But the end result, if you see that, okay, once the book is done, this is a kind of a legacy which is there for my son, even when I die. So, I think in that perspective, what I am leaving as a legacy, because we can have a lot of money, we can have a lot of wealth, but that is not going to stay forever. But if I do something which is going to stay forever, and book is one of the things which is going to stay, even after I die, so those kind of things made me write, my first book. And after I wrote my first book, I thought, why shouldn't I make an app? Because if I wanted to reach more people, app is a different way to reach more people. So, the app is an extension of my book.
Did they have similar themes, the book and the app? Because I know the app is a wellness app, isn't it?
Yes, it's kind of related to, positivity is related to how you can make yourself better, because that's what we are looking for. If you are working on yourself, you are trying to make yourself better, your confidence, your self-image is going to get better. And like my app has few different sections, like I give emphasis to meditation, exercise, drinking water as you are drinking water, sleep tracking, about gratitude, about moods, about breathing. So it has included a lot of things. And I don't say that, my app is a meditation app, because, again, meditation does play a important role, but this is not, cannot completely change your life, upside down. You have to, approach your life from different angles, and then only you can change your life. And so these things were never planned. I started improving myself. I wrote my book. I launched my app. Then I have around 15 songs in Spotify. So this all came as a process and about, investing my time and effort about improving myself. There is a law of nature that when you are working extremely hard, you will definitely, get the fruits. What you sow is what you are going to reap someday. And that's what I have done in the last 3 years. I have worked hard and slowly the doors are opening for me. I never thought that I will be doing podcast anytime in my life. Frankly speaking, it was never in the agenda. I have, what should I say, that I was fearful of public speaking.
No.
So that was never there. Like till the age of 35, I was not able to, like the fear of public speaking is the utmost fear anybody can have it. And, I have that fear. No. I will rather die rather than, speak publicly. So, overcoming that fear, now sitting in front of you, maybe, initially I might have faked it, but, now I have that confidence that I can, speak with anybody with confidence regarding anything, like it's not about, I can speak about confidence, I can speak about life, I can speak about suffering, I can speak about, how to improve yourself, I can speak about, how to change your brain, because again, there are different things you have to approach it. And And I definitely believe that a human being has a lot of potential. Like, that potential is so much that once you start tapping into it, you can do kind of, anything, what you think about.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, it's a superpower. Again, not everybody knows how to use it. We have a brain, but we don't know, how to use it and how to make it, more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know the tricks that, how can I make it, efficient, what is needed? Because, again, not everybody has the knowledge. When you are young, definitely you don't have the knowledge, okay, what has to be done?
I really used to have a big confidence issue with cameras. So like anything camera orientated, so recording myself for an interview or just, doing something like this, but especially on my own, I'm terrible. I used to go into recording studios and I'd be in front of the microphone and I'd just seize up and not be able to do it. Whereas you put me on a stage in front of 500 people, it's not a problem. So that's been something I've been developing a lot. And lately with the podcast, I've been having to record a lot of myself and watch myself back. And it is getting better, you're right. You do see those improvements quite quickly. So yeah, just wanted to say quickly, obviously we sort of have a closing tradition on this podcast, a bit where we ask where you think you'd be if you hadn't been confident. Without confidence in your life, do you think you would have achieved what you have achieved? And how important is it to you?
Again, it's a very good question. Like, definitely confidence is needed. And, without confidence, you cannot, move far in your life. Because how I developed my confidence is, when I started running my half marathon. Once I finished my half marathon, as you have, maybe heard it, you are a different person once you have finished a half marathon or a full marathon, because it gave me the confidence, what I was lacking. What happens is when you do something, significant, you can go back to that situation. Okay, if I can run a half marathon, I can do, bigger things in my life.
Yeah.
You refer to that memory that if I have done this podcast, 10 times, I should be able to come today and do it again.
Yeah, it's like a reference point, a page in the history. Go back.
So it's a reference point. You go back, okay, I have done it 50 times. Definitely, you will have a little bit of nerves which is coming on, but you know that you have done it many times and you can still do it, today as perfectly and definitely better than what you have done before. So confidence is definitely needed. There is no doubt. But again, when you are young, you have to build that confidence. So don't hesitate to fail. What happens, we fear, if I fail, then what my friends or family is going to think about. I failed so many times in my life, like my life is a story of failure. Like, I failed many times from the age of 16, 16, I was lost. I don't know what to do here. Then I failed in so many exams. I failed in my driving license. I failed in every new job I have worked. I have, even failed in public speaking at the same time, I froze in my first public speaking, but, I never gave up.
Sanjib, we always ask, just before we wrap up, if you've got any questions for us and if you'd like to deliver a final message to the audience.
So, the final piece of advice I can give to your listeners or audience is, work on yourself. And it can be a small thing like, improving your communication skill or writing skills, or, working or a goal or a dream, or on your physical or mental health. Because, when you are investing your time and your resources in improving yourself, it is going to stay with you all your life. So, start slowly and don't worry about, what others are going to say about you. The traffic lights of life will never be all green at the same time. You have to start at some point, correct the course along the way, and do the best you can do it. Because 20 years down the lane, you will be more disappointed by the things which you did not do.